Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Isaac, I'm at the West End Cultural Center, and this is the Tune-In program's 7th drum lesson. So in the last drum lesson, what we did is we got to experience playing some other drum beats that we're not normally used to. We're used to playing the classic rock beat, and we got to try out the blues shuffle. We got to try out playing in 3/4. And we got to try out playing some 16th notes, which is fun. What we're going to do today is we're going to go back to that classic rock beat, so sorry if you're disappointed, but we're going to try to make this beat a little bit more fun as well. We're going to try playing some extra kicks, extra snares, just fancy up this beat so it's different than this straight, what we're used to playing, okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add in an extra kick beat. We've been playing on kick beats on beats 1 and 2. What we're going to do is we're going to play another kick beat on the 8th note right after the first beat. So if we're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, on 1 and 3 we always play the kick drum, but we're going to start playing 1 and, the and will also have a kick drum. Snare drum parts 2 and 4 remains, we're going to keep playing those. We're going to go for 8 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it's a little bit tricky, but not that hard. We're used to playing, adding in. You're getting to the point where you can start playing these, but it is difficult to remember. You're used to playing just the regular classic rock. So even while your leg muscles may have been developed to the point where they're totally capable of going, it's a memory game at that point. You have to force yourself to remember to put in that extra one. Otherwise, you're just gonna, oh, I forgot. But that's okay, just keep practicing, go through it a couple times. What we're gonna do now is do the exact same thing, except that extra kick beat will not be on the 8th note after the first beat. It's gonna be on the 8th note after the 3rd beat this time. So when we go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, on the 1 and the 3, always play the kick drum. 2 and the 4, always play the snare drum. But on that 3 and, we're also going to play another kick drum beat, okay? So we're going to go for 8 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Great, so not really any more difficult than the last one. You may have to get used to now playing at a completely other new time with this extra kick beat. But overall, not that much more difficult. But we can up it a bit by putting the two together. That's always an option. So now what we're going to do is we're going to play both what we did with the kick the first time. Right, that's 1/8 note after the first beat. And we're also going to do what we did the second time. That's an 8th note after the 3rd beat. We're going to add them together. So it's going to be 1/8 note after the first beat and 1/8 note after the 3rd beat. It's going to sound like this. Okay, so we're going to go for another 8 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So again, Same principles, same techniques. You're only using the same patterns, the same muscles as you're always doing, but you're doing it more frequently, right? You can train your legs, keep practicing them. At this point, it's training your brain. It's more of a puzzle. It's a memory game. So let's do it one more time, just for practice. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, great. Now, we've been doing it with the kick drum. You guys will probably guess there's no reason we can't do the exact same thing but with the snare drum instead. So let's go back to that first exercise we did with the kick. Right, we had an extra kick beat after the first kick beat. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to go back to just one kick beat, but play an extra snare beat after the first snare beat. So 1/8 note after the second beat in the drums throughout the measure. That's the second beat is where we hit the snare drum. Also the fourth one, the 8th note after the second beat. It's going to sound like. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, right? It's the same principle. You guys will understand how it's totally correlated to. But of course, it's something new. You're not used to playing. So keep practicing it. Go through it a couple times. We're going to go through it again, but just like we did with the kick drum, we're now going to switch the extra snare beat to an 8th note after the second time we hit the snare in the measure. So it's an 8th note after the 4th beat of the measure. To make it more simple for you, I'm going to demonstrate it one more time. Right, that is how it's going to sound. We're going to play this for another 8 measures, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. A little bit harder, a little bit easier. You don't know. Maybe you'll like the first beats. Some kids like. Some like. You may find one that just, you seem to groove to it a bit easier. It's not as hard, but again, with the kick beats, with the snare beats, I want you to practice through each one I've shown you. I want you to go over through them again. They're very important. So, but let's add these kick parts, these snare parts that we just did together again. So it's both extra snare beats after each snare. Okay, so it's going to sound like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. A 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, great, everyone. So we've done the same thing with both kick and snare parts. Now what we're going to do is we're going to try adding them together. So we're going to play through just 4 measures at a time, a couple multiple exercises where we attribute the extra kick beats and the extra snare beats together. Okay, so we started with, that's 1/8 note after the first beat is an extra kick drum beat. We're going to continue with that, but we're going to also add in this extra snare, the 8th note after the second beat. So the full drum beat will sound like this. Okay, so we know how to do that. We know how to do this. Now we're putting them together. That's where the challenge is. So let's try it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, great everyone. Now let's keep with this same kick part right at the beginning. But now let's switch to the other extra snare beat that we were practicing. Let's switch to 1/8 note after the 4th beat, right? So the 4th beat is in the other snare. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. That's what we want to do now. And again, we're going to keep the same extra kick beat. Add them together, it's going to sound like this. Another 4 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, great. Now let's bring the snare drum part back to the one we just did. Okay, so that's 1 and 2 and. Another an 8th note after the second beat. But now we're going to switch this kick drum. We're going to switch this kick drum part. We've been playing 1 and, that's the 8th note after the 1, right, the first beat. And we've been going between the snare drums. Now we're going to go between the kick drums, okay? So we're going to play 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We're going back to the same 1/8 note after the second beat for the snare drum, but now an 8th note after the third beat for the kick drum. So it's going to go, again, like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay. Now, so we've switched the kick drum part. Now let's switch the snare part one more time. So this is a final combination that we haven't tried. We're going to play the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's 1/8 note after the third beat where we hit the kick drum. 1/8 note after the 4th beat where we hit the snare drum. So. Sweet. We're going to go through it 4 measures again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now I know that playing the double kick and then the double snare, it's a lot going through your head. It's hard to concentrate. You will get flustered. You will mess up. Again, I want you to go through them all one at a time, play through them multiple times, and just get a sense of each different one, because you will have to get used to playing and switching from them. Now let's go ahead and let's keep both parts of the kick drum. Right, so that's an 8th note after the first beat and after the third beat. We're doing both extra kick beats, and we're going to do both extra snare beats. That's 1/8 note after the second beat and 1/8 note after the 4th beat. It will sound like this. Okay, for another 4 measures, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and So that will have been probably the most difficult one yet. You're getting used to playing, right? You're using your ankle muscles much more often. You're using your left hand muscles much more often, and then you're doing them consecutively without stopping. It's a difficult thing to accomplish. But again, I want you to keep practicing it, go through it multiple times, and once you guys get a bit better at playing all these individual parts, right? And once you can do them in all the different orders that I've shown, it's good to try and put them together. So the first beat that we did was, no, sorry, it was, the second one was, the third, the fourth, and then the fifth. We're going to try playing them all together. It's going to be 4 measures at a time, right? So we're going to start, again, 4 measures. We're going to play the next 4 measures. We're going to play the next 4 measures. We're going to play this. Then the next 4 measures, of course, we're going to play. And then finally, for good old number 5, add them all together. You guys will probably slip up. I may slip up for all I know. This is a hard exercise. I want you guys to go through it multiple times. I keep saying that, but it is crucial, very important. You will not get this playing with me just these times. Go through each one at a time again. Okay, so let's start playing this now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2. Sorry. Okay. See, slip-ups. This is where we know. It's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to remember. Practice through it one more time for my mind. Right? We all got it? Let's go. 4 measures at a time. No slip-ups this time. This is it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and a 1 and 2 and a 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So again, you guys can probably see it's a hard one. It's a hard one to memorize. It's a hard one to pull off. I want you to keep practicing it, go through it multiple times. Okay, so we've added in extra kick beats and extra snare beats on the 8th notes. What we're going to do now is we're going to, instead of playing on 8th notes, we're going to add in extra 16th notes with the kick and the snare. This is where it gets quite another big step towards more difficult. It doesn't seem like much different when you play. But for instance, we're going to be playing. It's a pretty big jump, even though it doesn't seem like it should be. So again, throughout all these exercises, watch them multiple times, play through them multiple times, keep practicing. So we're going to start with this snare drum. When we play this beat, we're going to play an extra 16th note on the snare drum right before the third beat of the kick drum. So if we're going to go 1, 2, that's what we want to do. So you're going to notice it's a 16th note, the last 16th note, so it's going to be in between the 8th note that we play on the hi-hat, right? So if we're going, that's what we want to do with our hand here. So let's try playing it. We're going to go through 8 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so great, everybody. Again, I keep saying this. I'm going to say it one last time. Practice again. Practice makes perfect. That is a hard thing to do. You will not have done it this first time. Okay, so now let's play this. That 16th note on the snare, right? But now let's switch it to right before the very first beat, right? So that means the last 16th note of the measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. That one. 1 and 2 and 3 and, right? We're going to do the exact same thing. We're just going to play it at the very, very, very end of the bar. Okay, so we're going to go for another 8 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, great. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add those 2 parts together, just like we did when we were adding the extra 8th notes. We're adding an extra 16th notes instead, but we're going to do the exact same thing. So again, 1 16th note before the third beat, and 1 16th note before the first beat. And that is where we're going to play these extra little snares. It's going to sound like. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, a little bit more difficult, yes, but keep practicing through them. You will get better. We're going to do the same thing, except we're going to now add an extra 16th note kick drum beat. So you've been noticing that we've been playing these extra 16 notes on the snare drum right before the beats of the kick drum. We're going to essentially reverse it to the exact same. Every extra 16th note we do with the kick here will be before the snare beat. So let's start playing this beat, but the 16th will be right before the second beat. So the first snare drum beat we hit in the measure. It's going to sound like. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, great. So now, same principle. We're going to play the extra 16th note on this kick beat, except now we're going to play it right before the fourth beat. So that's the second time we hit the snare, right? Now that's what we're going to do. So for 8 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, great. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add them both together, just like we did with the snare and the kick earlier in the 8th one. We're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, that's great. Now, just like we did with the extra 8th notes, we can play the kick parts and the snare parts together, right? There's no reason we can't. So let's go through a little exercise. We're going to try playing all the extra snare parts and all the extra kick parts. Just to see. I'm not expecting you guys to be able to get this right away. This is a pretty advanced thing. Just to practice, because it's good to get the feel, and it will help with doing them individually as well. So let's play it for 8 bars, okay? So we're going to do... It's a lot, but good to practice. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so again, that was a bit more difficult. I'm not expecting you guys to get that. I really want you to work on all the parts before that. I want you to get the 16th notes individually. And I want you to really work on those extra 8th notes all together. You guys can manage that at this point, I know for certain. Keep playing. Right? Try to get as many different combinations as possible, too. Right? Especially, you can also play 16th notes and 8th notes, these extra ones, at the same time. See? Now you can really start hearing the groove. It's not much different, but you can really, really change how the whole sound of the music you're playing is, with just the drum beat being changed a slight bit. Okay, so again, I want you to keep practicing, play with the 8th notes and the 16th notes, play just the 8th notes extra, play just the 16th notes extra, go through them all again, keep practicing. If you have any questions, I want you to come to the West End Cultural Center to the Tune-In program. It's on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 6 p.m. I will see you all in the next video.